Hey guys. Okay, so the Zaplings aren't in yet today. They should be here soon, so they might be popping in the middle of the live. Who knows? Because they usually get here pretty early. I am coming on live for the main reason of talking about hirsutism and PCOS. Part of this is because it's PCOS Awareness Month. And yes, I know how weird this filter makes me look, but there is a monster of a pimple here, and we're not going to talk about it because PCOS takes over sometimes. But focusing on hirsutism, which is like excessive hair growth in women that are like usually where men typically grow hair. And we're talking assigned female at birth to assigned male at birth. And like we're going to definitely go into deeper discussions there down the road. But I want to talk about hirsutism because as an electrologist, and this is more for the consumer than it is for the electrologist, when you come to us and you're discussing excess body hair or facial hair, excess hair in general, and you're feeling like it's pretty atypical, like meaning that it's not normal, you know that like something's off, but everybody keeps telling you your labs are normal. There are other reasons to why you would have hirsutism, which could be like familial, it could be medical, it could be weight related, to be honest, and we'll dive into that in a moment. But like 5 to 15% of those assigned female at birth have hirsutism, and it's like one of the most common endocrine disorders, if not the most common, I believe. Let me look at my notes real quick. I think it's the most common disorder in women in the United States right now, which is huge. And you're not alone when you think about back when I was younger, or my mother or my grandmother. It was one of those things like, shh, don't tell anybody that you have a hair problem because it's not normal, right? Women aren't supposed to have this issue. It like sets you apart as an other, okay? But I mean, think about that, like between 5 and 15, so an average of 10% of those assigned female at birth have hirsutism, and this could scale a lot. Most of our clients with hirsutism are coming in because they have darker hair, darker skin, so therefore their peach fuzz is also darker. But it's more than what it is peach fuzz typically. It is the stuff that you're noticing trends of like a mustache or chin hair or sideburn hair, or you're noticing stuff on your areolas, your abdomen, your lower back, your inner thighs are expanding in growth. Your upper arms might be getting more growth. This is where we start to say what's going on behind the scenes. And this is also why we make you fill out an intake form, because all of those questions are pertinent to understanding your hair history. And just recently I had issued an intake to a potential client, and they went online and they were really mad that they were being asked personal questions in regards to the hair history. And it's really difficult because we are taking this and we're going, okay, what is the evidence that's in front of us that is making this a possible hirsutism case? This way we can direct you down a pathway that gives you more success in your hair removal. The fact is if your hormones are kind of constantly pumping androgen excess at you, and you're presenting that with excess hair, you need to then go, okay, this is happening and this is a symptom, right? What else is happening behind the scenes that I might be able to check mark off and talk to my doctor about? And those, I just want to like bring up some of the stuff within PCOS, because PCOS is one of the most common things that leads to like infertility issues, obesity, acne, increased risk of diabetes, osteoporosis. There are comorbidities within mental health, within neurodiversity. We are seeing it in so many areas that when you come to us with hirsutism in excess, we might ask questions like, have you been diagnosed with PCOS, or do you suspect that that might be the case? And if you're like, I've never heard of that before, then we dive into a conversation, essentially, because we can't diagnose, that's not within our scope of practice, but we dive into a conversation about things on your chart that look like comorbidities to this and give you an outline to then present to your doctor. There is an amazing book, and I can't think of the author's name right now, but the PCOS workbook, and I know you're on here and my brain cell is just going away right now of your name. But I'm trying to see if I can see it from here. Oh, Grassy. So there is this workbook that is a great opportunity as a potential PCOS diagnostic tool, where you can do the same thing, where you're just going through and you're like, okay, does it look like this? Does it look like this? and start to like navigate your health history. Because I will tell you, if you're presenting with hirsutism and the other comorbidities and you go through a workbook like that, you can literally deliver that to your doctor and be like, this is my life, like journaled for you to help me with diagnosis. What that can do for you is it can curb, if you did not know that you were pre-diabetic, insulin resistant, type 2 diabetes is really prevalent within PCOS. If you have been struggling with weight fluctuations your entire life, and I'm not just saying weight gain does lead to excess androgens in, as a normal, but like I'm saying like fluctuations. You guys have, if you've been here long enough, you've seen that like I have been every body size. Well, because for a long time, my PCOS, well, I thought was like being taken care of through one avenue, I ended up having to go through multiple avenues to get myself to like some type of equilibrium I could live with, right? If hair is the only thing that's bothering you and the other stuff you're like, I could live with that, but down the road, it actually leads to poor quality of health, but your hair was the indicator. By the time you get to the doctor, if you removed that one indicator, they don't have that outline. So when we started to talk to you about hirsutism and we're like, hey, these are the ways that it could show up in your life. This is how it's going to help you to have medicinal intervention. This is how it's going to help you with your treatment plan. Then by all means, take that information, make it like the thing that makes you like foundationally strong in your health journey and go after those additional goals. Nobody has to have like poor quality of life. We just need to be able to like have the words that we can bring to our doctor to help us then format what our future is going to be like. So that's the bigger information output that I can give you. Sorry, brain cells, not brain celling yet. But I want to talk about those other comorbidities that we talked about, like the other, not comorbidities, other indicators for hirsutism. So the familial, the obesity one, and the medications. There are going to be things that you've been on throughout your life that may cause hirsutism, either like an acute fashion or all the time. And I want you to go, is this something that I can tackle through medical means of intervention, through electrolysis or laser means of intervention, or is it something I need to talk to my doctor about because I've been dealing with this long enough that I'm not really sure which direction is the best one to go, right? So familial is going to be like, it's a normal trait in some populations. When I talk about being Italian with PCOS, I'm Mediterranean, right? So like when you think about like women with Mediterranean background, Middle Eastern, those Black, South Asian, these are ethnicities that are ancestries that tend to show up more within hirsutism because our hair is traditionally brown to begin with and we recognize it faster. So it is more common in those with like darker skin and like white ancestry. But I would definitely say that like you're going to see it across most darker skin ethnicities, and you're going to see it a lot within those regions. It's just there's a higher proclivity of it there. It usually then begins at puberty. So a lot of times this is like when you start seeing those like hairs come in on the corner of your mouth, and like your mom or somebody in your family might have taken you to a waxer or a threader. That's what's happening there. The reason why it strengthens a lot of times is because we try to intervene with less than lethal means of hair removal. And we do it through treatment to treatment based stuff. So like waxing session to waxing session, plucking to plucking. You will 100% be able to manage this style of hirsutism the easiest, the fastest, which is why I say it's important to bring it to your doctor, because your doctor can take all of those little like line items and go, okay, this looks like it's more familial than it is like hormone imbalance in general, okay, or medical based. If you think that it's due to I've gained weight recently and so therefore I have some crazy new hairs that are popping up, that often can be managed through diet, but not always. And I say not always because we see hirsutism present within those that with lean PCOS just as much as we see it within PCOS with obesity as a factor. And I want you to go, okay, like just because your weight fluctuates or it looks lean or obese doesn't mean that it doesn't exist for you. So definitely dive deeper into that and see if you can manage it through those means. But a lot of times with PCOS in general, our system is harder to manage through traditional means of diet and exercise because it takes us a lot more work to get there, okay? Which is exhausting. And for those that are in the fitness world, trust me, I get it. It is very exhausting. And people are like, you're not going hard enough. You're not doing this kind of stuff. You are. It just takes you so much more work to get there. And they might not ever understand that because your body is not equivalent to their body that doesn't have the same medical background, okay? And then the last one is medications. And medications is actually a huge factor in hirsutism. And a lot of people don't give that credit where credit's due. It is like medications like danazol, anabolic steroids, testosterone, hair regrowth systems, that kind of stuff. They can all cause it. And usually doctors don't necessarily flag that when you're like, oh, what are some of the side effects? They'll tell you the other ones because because women aren't talking about their unwanted hair traditionally with people outside of their mirror and their tweezers. They don't even realize how big of a problem it is. And I will tell you, like early in my career, we had a woman come in for electrolysis and she had like linear hair growth all down her forehead. But she'd been losing hair on the top of her head, putting on Rogaine at night, sweating in her sleep, and it was like leaving lines of hair. And you could tell that it was not normal because it was so linear. It was almost ridiculously perfect in that you could tell it was due to the medication. But her doctor was like, oh, don't worry, that's normal. If you want to grow your hair, this is what's going to happen. And the truth is like hair regrowth medications are going to grow your hair wherever you put them. And if it's systemic, like so something that you're ingesting, it can grow it anywhere. If you have the propensity for hair growth, it's going to happen. Okay. So, it's typically going to happen. I shouldn't always be absolute in those moments. It's a high chance it's going to happen. So be prepared for those moments, and understand that when we're talking to you about this behind the scenes on your intake forms, that hirsutism, it is a very high chance within those assigned female at birth. I will say that there are cases where we see those assigned male at birth that have excess hair growth as well. And while they don't necessarily flag it as hirsutism, there is like a typical amount of hair that most individuals have, and then there is excessive hair growth. And so don't discredit what is going on with your body just because you're seeing that, but it's still good to start looking at those conversations because it could be more familial. It could have been medications that you've taken. You're going to see shifts. Like if you're on testosterone, you're going to see shifts in hair growth, right? If you are on spironolactone because of PCOS or because of your hirsutism, or you're looking to reduce your acne on your body, you're going to see shifts within your body hair a lot of times, or the speed at which your facial hair grows in. So all that to say that hirsutism is incredibly normal. It is incredibly common with those with PCOS, with the familial traits, with the obesity trait, with the medicinal traits. And it is important to start noting all of the little things that drive you crazy about your health and put this into the mix so that when you go to your doctor and you have these great conversations with the doctor, that they understand that you have been keeping track of all of this and it looks really common together. Bring it to your electrologist, bring it to your doctor. We can help you. A lot of times we partner with doctors nearby, even like people like myself that have a medical director. My medical director, we partner up to be able to provide PCOS-based care through electrolysis, through insurance, because we happen to be in a state that has that inclusion clause for gender affirming care, which means that it's accessible for everybody, right? And so it's just a matter of you can get to it. You just have to have the right evidence to bring to your doctor so that they can start to format what your health history should look like with all of the key factors in there, with all the evidence in play. So those are definitely things I want you to like bring up in your consultations. It's important to fill out that intake form. I know that it's a pain in the butt. Trust me. It's not only a pain in the butt from your side, right? I mean, that leads to more paperwork, right? It's frustrating. As an electrologist, I want you guys to hear this. This consultation is what's going to help you drive your success with this treatment. If your patient is unmanaged with this, and you say it takes 1.5 to 3 years, but they are unmanaged and not planning to go the medicinal route or intervention through medical in any fashion or through diet, that it's going to take them longer because you are basically putting pennies in that bucket And eventually that bucket will fill up and it will be a fruitful experience with hair removal. But if you aren't taking care of the root cause of what's happening behind the scenes to give that androgen excess, then it's going to be a lot longer of a journey for you and your patient. Can you get there? Absolutely. Hair removal is hair removal. Dead hair is dead hair. You can get to it through electrolysis. If you're a candidate, you can get to it through laser. But you have got to make sure that you are being 100% in your intake form on the patient side and 100% on your consult side on the technician side. It is so important. So definitely walk away from this little conversation with these 5 eyeballs still staring at me while I'm talking to you, and understand that it totally can be managed. It just takes all of that evidence in play so that we can help you get to your goals, and so that you have a better understanding of why this is even happening. I don't want you guys to walk away from this going like, oh my God, Stephanie said that I'm going to have all of these problems. I'm saying that if these problems are within your life, they might connect, and it might be the reason to why your hirsutism is so extensive, and I can get to your goals faster, or any other hair removal technician can get there faster when this happens. On the last little bit of this, if you are presented with hirsutism, and this is not me telling you can't do it, okay? This is me saying, be very wary of doing this. If you're presented with hirsutism and you have excess hair growth in one of those areas of hirsutism, so that's usually upper lip and chin, sideburns, areolas, abdomen, upper arms, inner thighs, lower back, upper back, okay? Those are usually your hirsute areas. If that's that's presented to you in that space, you need to get on board with following through with treatment plans, with not tweezing in between sessions, with not, apparently I can make thumbs up happen, with not waxing in between sessions, with not sugaring or threading in between sessions. If you are manually ripping out that hair without some type of like treatment for destruction in front of it, okay? So you haven't epilated that hair through an electrolysis machine. You have not done laser to that hair that was a candidate for it. You're going to be stimulating growth, okay? It's just what happens. Those stem cells, that blood flow, it does real well. It does real well when you start pulling on it, okay? Your body says, hey, I've been injured. Send reinforcements. I don't want that to happen again. And it makes it stronger, okay? Now, if you're doing it and you want to continue doing it because you can't go down the route of laser or electrolysis, okay? It is fine. Just know that that's what happens often when you tweeze these type of hairs. And I'm not talking about your lower leg hairs. I'm not talking about your arm hairs. I'm talking about the stuff that is typical within these cases, okay? Bikini line in general, it tends to like slow down for most people, but I say for most people because it is still stimulation, okay? So you can cause distortion of that hair. You can cause strengthening that hair. You can cause a greater volume density in that space, okay? Thicker, more of it, okay? You can cause that hair to darken in its appearance because you're making that hair bigger. That was already brown, okay? Now we're making it bigger, darker, thicker. It is looking more brown and more large every second you do it, okay? So when you start your electrolysis journey and your technician says, hey, let's stop doing that, it is because we want to deactivate those stem cells and that blood source from overworking. Now it's time for us to destroy them. If you continue that in any area that we're working along the way, you're basically opening up the trash can and throwing your money in there, okay? Which, I mean, I'm a fun person. You can hang out with me for as long as you want, but, okay? That means that as long as you're hanging out with me on the table, you're unfortunately paying a premium to do so, right? That's the hard reality of this. And unfortunately, in those cases, that tends to be where people get really discouraged in the process and look back at us as we can do something different. And really it comes from that component, the variable that's outside of our office. There's a lot of things that we can control in our office to find that great working point, to give you a great treatment plan. But on the other side, if you're not doing the medical background, you're not stopping from stimulating those hairs, you're going to be with us for a while, okay? So I hope that helps answer some of the questions as a starting point for hirsutism. And if you guys have questions down the road, please drop them in the comments. And I'll be happy to follow up with answering more. But it's time to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Last little bit, and you're going to see me totally step away, is I want to show you that workbook I was talking about because it's pretty amazing and it's right around my corner here. So I brought this tool in for my patients so they can understand what to look for, okay? So this is Angela's book, okay? And Sasha Ote from the PCOS Challenge wrote the foreword. And then you have Stephanie Mattel there. They're all phenomenal, okay? The reason I like this book is if you are trying to figure out what the heck's going on with your PCOS. This is giving you an opportunity to get to know what's happening behind the scenes. And then down the road, you can start filling out components that you see where the lines are at in there to talk to your doctor about the key items that you're learning about your medical. You can get these on Amazon. I'm sure that on Angela's page, you can find the link, and then she probably will get whatever proceeds through the purchases there. But like, I don't know those factors, but it is on Amazon. It's at Barnes & Noble, which I'm always down to go to Barnes & Noble. It smells good in there. But it's there. I've seen it a lot of different bookstores. It is so important for you to have a deeper understanding of what's going on with your body when it comes to PCOS. This is your opportunity to maximize your health. I'm down to zap all your hairs, okay? And so are the zaplings. So are so many of the electrologists probably watching this thread right now, and will be talking about this for a long time. This is why we like to do what we do. A lot of us came from spaces where we had a hair problem ourselves, and we're incredibly encouraged to get you to your goals because we got to ours, okay? But you gotta know what's going on behind the scenes. So definitely recommend that. And I definitely recommend when you're doing your consultation, fill out that intake form to the best of your abilities. If you feel like it's pertinent to the process, put it on there. If it doesn't fit in the line, put it on the back of the page. We don't care. We want as much detail as possible so that I can Sherlock Holmes and find out how to solve that case. Okay? Peace, love, and hair removal. Happy Friday, everybody. Bye.